So yeah, today was, Caitlin Clark technical foulgate. I don't know how else to explain it, but that was that's the best way to talk about it, I guess. But no one knew what the hell's going on. Like, I thought Caitlin was ejected at the end of this game. I mean, it was the weirdest thing. And if you guys agree that this made no sense, subscribe. We are trying to get to 60k as soon as possible. But that being said, we are going to be out here and we're going to talk about it because Caitlin Clark.
The whistle blew and the arena went dead silent. Caitlin Clark looked the official dead in the eyes. Her face, a mask of pure defiance, as the technical foul was signaled. Nobody knew what was happening, but the tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. For a split second, it looked like the face of the league was headed to the locker room early. This wasn't just a game, it was a total meltdown that left Stephanie White and the entire coaching staff in a state of absolute shock. The superstar was one word away from an ejection that would have changed everything for the Indiana Fever.
Game, which is a team technical foul, so you can ask Tyler. I don't agree with that.
That's the first time I've ever heard Caitlin calling the ref out by name. But like, Caitlin got screwed by the refs. Like, I'm going to talk about it a little more tomorrow. Like, Caitlin Clark got flagrantly fouled and it was called as a no call. Like, Brittany Griner shoulder barged her on a screen in the head. Like, it was a cheap shot. Like, I'm being dead serious. If you do that, if you dip your shoulder and get someone in the head, especially if they're smaller than you, you know what you're doing. But
Stephanie White watched from the sidelines as the chaos unfolded. Her expression shifting from tactical focus to genuine concern. It's one thing to have a competitive fire, but what she was witnessing was a player on the absolute edge. The panic wasn't just about one game, it was about the precedent being set. When your franchise cornerstone starts getting targeted by officials, the entire strategy has to change. The air in the building shifted instantly as everyone realized how close we were to a historic exit. This was the moment the golden child narrative hit a brick wall of reality, calls and no call.
A no call. Like, Brittany Griner shoulder barged her on a screen in the head. Like, it was a cheap shot. Like, I'm being dead serious. If you do that, if you dip your shoulder and get someone in the head, especially if they're smaller than you, you know what you're doing. But let's take a look at what the delay of game was. I mean, she got teed up because she's bad at soccer. Like, she got teed up because she's bad at soccer. I kid you not. Like, she tried to pass the ball off the board to herself.
The reason for the technical was as hilarious as it was controversial. Caitlin was caught red-handed shushing the opposing team's bench and waving a cold goodbye after a massive play. It was the kind of swagger that fans love, but referees absolutely despise. She wasn't just playing basketball, she was sending a message to everyone who doubted her, but that message came with a heavy price tag. The officials were looking for any reason to reel her in, and she gave it to them on a silver platter. The taunting was blatant, and the league's response was immediate and incredibly harsh.
Let's take a look at what the delay of game was. I mean, she got teed up because she's bad at soccer. Like, she got teed up because she's bad at soccer. I kid you not. Like, she tried to pass the ball off the board to herself and completely miskicked it. Like, she actually got bad. Like, and then sprints. And by the way, she runs after the ball and runs back to throw it there. Like, if this is in the first quarter, okay. Not in a 3.
But the real madness started with a delay of game call that felt like a personal attack. Caitlin tried to play a little soccer with the ball, miskicking it off the table, and the refs pounced. She actually sprinted to get the ball back, trying to keep the pace up, but it didn't matter. The official, a man named Tyler, decided he needed to be the main character of the evening. It was a team technical that felt incredibly forced, especially in a 3-point game during the fourth quarter. It was a sequence of events so bizarre that even the most veteran analysts were left scratching their heads.
Another way. And like referees trying to make the game about them. And if you guys want to know what Caitlin's tech was for, hilarious. Hilarious. So Caitlin shushing the other team's bench. She is shushing the other team's bench and then is shushing them and waves bye-bye after she wins. And that's the thing where it's like, this is a team that, let's be real, Caitlin was pissed. Caitlin was absolutely pissed. Like, she picked up a defensive foul because Brittany Griner elbowed her in the face. Like, she's kind of holding her hands like this.
Behind the scenes, the frustration had been building for the entire game. Caitlin had been taking a physical beating that the cameras barely captured. One of the most shocking moments was a shoulder barge from Brittany Griner during a screen. It wasn't just a bump, it was a calculated move that caught Clark right in the head. When a player of Griner's size dips her shoulder into someone much smaller, it's a message. The fact that it went uncalled left Clark fuming. She felt like she was being hunted on the court, while the people in stripes just watched it happen with total indifference.
Caitlin was pissed. Caitlin was absolutely pissed. Like, she picked up a defensive foul because Brittany Griner elbowed her in the face. Like, she's kind of holding her hands like this, and Griner goes through her hands and clocks her in the face, and it's like, and it was given as a foul on Caitlin Clark. Like, she was pissed off at the refs. She was pissed off at the other team. She was pissed off at Rashid Mazian because of how they went out. She was pissed off at Layla Khan. She was pissed off, just pissed off, period. And that tech could come back.
After the game, Clark didn't hold back, doing something we almost never see from a rookie. She called out the official by name. She specifically mentioned Tyler, stating that he wanted to assert himself into the game where he wasn't needed. That kind of direct confrontation is a massive gamble in a league where officiating can make or break a season. By naming names, she put a target on her own back for every future game. It showed a level of done-with-it energy that we haven't seen from a newcomer in years. She admitted she deserved the tech, but insisted it was totally worth it.
That could come back to bite her in the ass. Like, Caitlin Clark only has 3. Like, if she's halfway to a suspension. The Fever have played 12 games or played 13 games. They've now 31 games, and she is halfway to a suspension. And for me, that's a little bit of a concern. That is absolutely a little bit of a concern. But at the end of the day, look, you're not like, I think she'll be able to control herself. I think she will be able to control herself. That being said,
this brings us to the dreaded Taurasi line, a threshold that every high-emotion player fears. In the WNBA, 7 technical fouls equal an automatic suspension. Caitlin is already sitting on 3, and we are barely a third of the way through the season. At this rate, she isn't just flirting with a suspension, she's sprinting toward it. Stephanie White knows that losing Clark for even one game could derail the team's momentum entirely. The fear in the front office is palpable because they know Caitlin plays her best when she's angry, but that anger is becoming a massive liability.
Obviously coming back. And look, if Caitlin crosses the Taurasi line, if you guys don't know, they call it the Taurasi line because Diana Taurasi basically got suspended for at least one game every single year of her career. Or nearly every year of her career. They joke about it being the Taurasi line, that it used to be adjusted based on how many techs they thought Taurasi was going to have in a season. Like, if she does cross the Taurasi line, it is what it is. Like, if I'm not mistaken, did Angel cross the Taurasi line last year? I think Angel might have crossed it last year. Or
the comparison to Diana Taurasi isn't just a joke, it's a career trajectory. Taurasi has spent her entire life hovering on the edge of suspension, often crossing it just to prove a point, but Clark is in a different position. She carries the weight of the entire league's ratings on her shoulders. If she sits out a game because she couldn't keep her cool, the fallout would be massive for the network and the fans. The league wants the fire, but they don't want the house to burn down. Finding the balance between competitive Caitlyn and suspended Caitlyn is the biggest challenge the team faces. We have to talk about the physical toll this is taking on her mental state. In one sequence, Brittany Griner basically clocked her in the face while Clark was trying to hold her ground. The refs actually called the foul on Caitlyn. Imagine being hit in the jaw by a literal giant and then being told it's your fault. That's the kind of officiating that drives a player into panic mode. She was pissed off at the refs. She was pissed off at the Sun, and she was clearly done playing nice. This version of Clark is the most dangerous one we've ever seen, but she's also the most vulnerable. It's not just Clark feeling the heat from the officials this season. Angel Reese has also been racking up technicals at an alarming rate, nearly hitting the same suspension danger zone. It seems like the league has decided to crack down on the new generation and their expressive style of play. But for Caitlyn, the stakes feel higher because every move she makes is under a microscope. When she shushed the bench, it wasn't just a game moment, it was a viral sensation. The refs are reacting to the noise as much as the players are, and it's creating a dangerous powder keg on the court. During that chaotic fourth quarter, the near ejection wasn't just a theory. If she had uttered one more word to Tyler after that delay of game call, she would have been gone. In a game decided by such a slim margin, her absence would have guaranteed a loss. Stephanie White's visible frustration wasn't just about the play, it was about the total lack of control. You could see the panic in the eyes of the coaching staff as they tried to pull her away from the officials. They knew she was one emotional breath away from an early shower and a very expensive fine from the league. There is a segment of fans who believe Caitlyn is being refereed differently than the rest of the league. They argue that veterans are allowed to get away with physical play, while Clark is penalized for the slightest display of emotion. The incident where she miskicked the ball is a perfect example. It was a clumsy moment, not a malicious one, yet the official treated it like a deliberate act of sabotage. This perceived bias is what's fueling the fire inside of her. She's starting to realize that the rules might be applied differently when her specific name is on the jersey. Interestingly, the technical foul seemed to actually wake her up. We've seen this before in her college days. When Caitlyn gets teed up, she usually follows it with a scoring barrage. It's like the adrenaline from the conflict sharpens her focus. She went from being frustrated to being clinical. This mojo is exactly what the Fever need to climb the standings, but it's a double-edged sword. If she needs to be on the verge of ejection to play her best, the team is constantly playing with fire. It's a high-stakes gamble that Stephanie White is forced to take every single night. The shushing incident with Sophie Cunningham was a highlight reel moment that almost ended in disaster. The two were celebrating together, but then someone on the opposing bench must have said something that crossed the line. Clark's reaction was instantaneous. She didn't just shush them, she made it a point to let them know who owned the court. It's that alpha mentality that has made her a star, but it's also what's getting her into trouble. The league is full of veterans who are more than happy to bait a rookie into a technical foul and a permanent seat on the bench. Looking back at the footage, the soccer kick was actually quite funny if you ignore the consequences. She tried to pass the ball off the board to herself and just completely whiffed it. It was a human moment in a game filled with superhuman plays, but the referee didn't see the humor. He saw an opportunity to exert authority and make himself the center of attention. This is where the panic mode truly sets in for the fans and the team. When the officiating feels personal, the game becomes about something other than basketball. It becomes a battle of egos that Clark can't win. There is a growing concern that Caitlyn might be targeted for a suspension before the mid-season break. With her technical count rising, opposing teams are likely instructed to get in her head. They know that if they can provoke a reaction, they can potentially get her removed from the game or even the next one. This psychological warfare is part of the professional game, but it feels heightened with her. Every elbow to the face and every uncalled foul is a test of her resolve. So far she's passing the talent test, but she's struggling with the temper test. The Fever are currently in a delicate position. They are starting to find their rhythm and Clark's confidence is returning after a shaky start to the season. The game winner against the Mystics was proof that she's back to her best. However, that confidence brings a level of trash talk and intensity that the refs are clearly not ready for. Stephanie White has to manage this carefully. She can't stifle the fire that makes Caitlin great, but she has to ensure it doesn't burn the season down. It's a coaching nightmare wrapped in a superstar's jersey and a massive target. Let's break down the Taurasi line history for a second. Being compared to Diana in terms of technicals is actually a badge of honor in some circles. It means you're a competitor who doesn't take shut from anyone, but Taurasi had years of veteran equity before she started racking up fines. Clark is doing it as a rookie with the eyes of the world on her. That's the part that's sending shockwaves through the league. She isn't waiting her turn to be the voice of the game, she's taking it by force. This boldness is exactly why she's the most talked about athlete in the world. The footage from the Sun game shows a player who was genuinely confused by the calls. When she was told she got a delay of game, her jaw literally dropped. She wasn't trying to waste time, she was trying to keep the play moving. This disconnect between player intent and referee interpretation is where the real drama lies. If the refs are going to be this sensitive, Clark will have to change her entire body language on the court. But asking a generational talent to mute her personality is a losing battle. The tension between her brand and the league's rules is only going to grow. Even players like Paige Buchers have dealt with Bush technicals. Though hers was eventually rescinded, it shows that the officiating across the board has been questionable at best. But Clark doesn't get the benefit of the doubt from the league office. She doesn't get the oops, my bad apology. She gets a target every time she waves bye-bye to a bench or stares down a ref. She is gambling with her availability. The panic isn't just about her temper, it's about a system that seems designed to punish the very stars that people pay their hard-earned money to see. What happens if she actually hits that 7th technical? The Fever would be forced to play a high-stakes game without their primary playmaker and scorer. In a league where every single win counts toward the playoffs, that one game could be the difference between a postseason run early vacation. This is why Stephanie White is in such a high-stress situation. She has to be a coach, a mentor, and a bodyguard all at once. The near ejection was a warning shot, a reminder that the powers that be can take her off the floor whenever they feel their authority is slighted. Despite all the drama and the looming suspensions, Clark seems to be laughing it off in the press room. She knows she's a lightning rod for controversy, and she seems to be embracing it. She's getting her mojo back, and a pissed-off Caitlin is statistically the best version of Caitlin. She's hitting her deep threes again, she's finding her teammates with impossible passes, and she's leading her team through the fire. But she's also walking a very thin line. The next time a ref like Tyler feels like asserting himself, the result might not be a technical, but a locker room exit. The ultimate question is whether the league can handle the heat that Caitlin Clark brings to the court every night. We are witnessing a collision between old-school officiating and a new-school superstar who refuses to be silenced. Stephanie White and the Fever are in a race against time to help her channel that frustration before the Taurasi line ends her season early. One thing is certain, whether you love her or hate her, you cannot stop watching. The fire that almost got her ejected is the same fire that's going to light up the WNBA for years to come.